everyone. This is a quick summary of Paul Hudson's 100 Days of Swift Day 1 class. It's definitely a class I recommend. I'll put the link down below. I'm summarizing these mostly to help myself, but if a few of you find it useful, that's great. So real quick, let's bring up Xcode, and the first class is focused on variables, constants, basic data types. So if you bring up Xcode on your Mac, you can get started with Playground here just by double clicking, and then right off the bat you get a simple example of a variable. So in Swift you have this keyword var to indicate you have a variable following it. And in this case, the variable is being set to a string here. And as the name suggests, because it is a variable, it can be reassigned. And the nice thing about the playground here in Xcode is you can push the play button and it will actually run this code. So you don't have to build an iPhone or an iOS app. It will just run this piece of Swift code. And so as it gets ready to run, it'll print the values out here. And the other basic concept here is a constant is something that never changes in value. So if you're going to be storing data in something that will never change value, you definitely want to use this let keyword and signify that this is a constant. Now, some other basic data types that Paul went over. You have integers, something you see in a lot of programming languages. Obviously, this is numerical values, whole numbers. You also have, for anything that's going to have decimal places, what's called a double data type, or it stands for double precision. And also, the Swift language has support for Boolean data type, so something that can be either true or false. And one thing you might notice is in all of these declarations, we are not explicitly stating that, hey, this is an integer or this is a double. So Swift has something called type inferencing. So it will actually look at the declaration and the value you're setting it to and infer that, hey, this is a Boolean, this is a double, this is an integer. But if you do want to write it out longhand, it would look something like this. Right after the variable, you do a colon, and then the type that you're going to be declaring before you set the value. And then you'll notice as you start typing in the Xcode tool, there's a drop down that appears, and so you can actually just push return and it will autocomplete. So this is not required, but if you do want to do longhand, that's how you do that. Now, the other key concept, basic building block, is something called string interpolation. And it looks something like this, where if you're building out a string and you want to plug in variable values, so if you have this backslash character and these parentheses, you can put a variable in there, and if we run it again in the playground, it'll plug in what that value is. So you can create a string that has variables as building blocks. And one other quick thing Paul went over is if you have this triple quote, you can actually do multi-line strings. So what you want is these triple quotes to be on their very own line here, but then all the lines in between will be part of this one variable or constant declaration. So in this case, you'll see it filled out here. Now you'll notice this backslash n, you see in other programming languages, means new line. If you want to not have that new line, you can do this backslash, and this will treat it as one long line. So let's push run again. And here you have one long line. So that was what Paul covered in day one, and hope this summary was useful for some of you. Thank you.